Hi, welcome back to the Career Success Academy. I'm Steve. We have a topic today that's very, very important and hits all of us, sometimes quite hard. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about the subject of rejection. None of us like to hear about it, but it happens to all of us. Rejection of your resume. Rejection of the interview. They tell you, hey, we selected someone else. Or maybe they don't tell you anything at all. Let's talk about rejection. You know, one of the things that we try to talk about is tailoring and customizing your resume. One of the reasons why we talk about that is to separate yourself from the pack, the herd, the group. Many times, people will go to some of these online resume generating factories where all you have to do is submit your resume to them and then click a little button that says apply, and they send off your resume. 10 places, 10 resumes. 20 places, same thing. What's the problem with that? Not a single resume is tailored. Their automated software is going to pick you out and say, hey, we're gonna reject you. Why? Because you're using a template, a form that they recognize and they boot right out. It's up to you to put in the effort to customize, to respond to that resume, as we've talked about in many of our videos, in order to have them consider you as a real, true, possible hire. Think about that. You're wasting your time, you're wasting your energy if you don't customize the resume. When you're in that situation and you're desperate, you need to get that job. You're sending out as many resumes as you can. The only advice I have for you is that definitely don't take it personally that they're rejecting your resume. Quite honestly, my advice is you're wasting your time. You never had a chance. Unless you distinguish yourself as matching the requirements of that particular position, you're not going to be able to establish your value. Hundreds, if not thousands of people might be responding to that particular opportunity. You have no way of knowing. But what you do know for a fact is that to distinguish yourself is to demonstrate your value to that particular organization. There's another form of rejection, and that rejection is when you go for an interview. We all make mistakes. You said something wrong. You didn't show that interest. Worse yet, you gave an answer during the interview that did not match the information that's on your resume. You're in charge of providing the information on your resume. You're in charge of knowing what you put on that resume. And you're in charge of rehearsing what you put on that resume into your answers for your particular interview. So you really have no one else to blame. So we talked about customizing the resume. We're talking now about making sure that you practice for your interview. You know what you have on the resume. One of the very first things we said was, if you're doing, especially you're doing a virtual online interview, There is no excuse for you not to have a copy of your own resume sitting right next to you, so you can reference those key points that demonstrate your value to that organization, to that interviewer. There's no excuse for you not bringing that information into your interview, into your stories, into your value proposition. What do you do after you're rejected? After you're rejected, there's basically 3 things to do. Number 1, take a look at what you presented to them. In your mind, go through the points that are on your resume. If you did make it to an interview, what did you say to them? What could you do better? So after you review what you've done, now figure out how you can do something differently and make it better. Every no that you get, no, we don't want you. Sorry, but we selected somebody else. All of that is actually going to make you a better interviewer and a better resume writer as you move to the next opportunity, and there will be more opportunities. But you have to be a better candidate. That's the secret here. Use the negative as a positive. Each rejection you get, and you'll get some, is a step closer to the company, the organization, the group that's going to say yes. That's the important part here. So what you want to do is take that information, and maybe when you've been rejected, you have an outside third-party friend, family member, someone that you trust, take a look at your information and make suggestions. So we think about the rejection. We now think about what we can do differently. And the third thing that you can do is to practice. You are in charge of the information you are giving to the interviewer. And you're really giving them 2 things in order to get that job. The first thing you're doing is presenting your skills, your qualifications, your experience, and you're shaping that, you're forming that, that's your story. And then it's up to you to take that story and show how that has value to them. The more you can talk about how you're being hired by them will give them value, will be able to make it easier for them to rationalize hiring you. There's one last point. The elephant in the room, the 600-pound gorilla in the room, the topic we never talk about, but we have to talk about. What if they ask you how much money you want to make? And you give them a number. The problem is, if you give them a number, it could be too high, it could be too low. You don't know. What do I mean? What I mean is, if you say that you want X amount, and it's more than what they wanted to offer for the job, they can reject you because you told them that you are expecting more money than they're prepared to offer. On the other hand, if they're prepared to offer a certain amount and you come in way below that amount, they're going to try to figure out what's wrong with you. Why is that? They took a look and they figured this is the amount of money, and they may know that they don't have enough money to be a top tier player. But it's up to you to, again, come up with that value proposition. You're in the interview, not me. So I don't know how they presented this to you, but basically, when someone asks you what kind of money you're looking for, you can certainly tell them what kind of money you were making at your last job. But if there was no last job, or the last job was completely different and you're changing careers, any one of 100 scenarios, you can't just give a number. You must justify that number in terms of your flexibility. You can say, in my last job I was making X, but in this job, because I'm changing careers, or because I'm looking for more responsibility, or I'm looking for a little less responsibility, here's the range that I'm willing to work with. Especially if it's a job that you're interested in. If you really want that job, be flexible. Be flexible in the range that you're giving them. Make sure you remember what that range is. But don't let an obstacle like salary rule you out in the interview. I want to say the same thing a different way. The interview is not a contract negotiation. An interview is not a contract for hire. It's a discussion. It's a conversation. So you want to converse with them. And try not to give them anything in either the resume or in the interview that's going to rule you out. Okay. And if you do that, make it a little better. Make it a little softer. Be a little bit more flexible. I hope that you found some good information, some good knowledge sharing in this video. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. Like the video and subscribe to our channel, because we're doing this for you. I'm Steve. This is the Career Success Academy, and we're glad you're here. Please leave your comments below. If you've ever been in a situation, and I think we all have, but if you've ever been in a situation where you were rejected, how did you handle it? What did you do? I'd be interested in reading your comments. I hope you have a great day. Thank you again for being here. We'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.